Okay, we're going to take a little bit deeper look at keyframing lights and how we can look at the graphs of our keyframes, which is really helpful. So let's go to our tools and go to our title tool application, and we're going to choose our Marquee tool, continue with that. Okay, now that we're in expert animation, we are going to use our text tool to put something up here, and I'm going to type in and Elam production. We'll use our edit tool to place that. I'm actually happy with the size of that. Just adjust my placement. And what we need to do is we can select our base lighting color. I'm going to stick with red. We need to enable lighting, and now that we have that done, we can go and actually add a light with the light tool. So you can see that by default one light is added. You can see how that's affecting our typography. So let's put that back up here. You can always right click on it and change the values. If we want it infinite or spot or local, we can do that. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to add another light, and similar to our other one, I want this to sweep across this. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to make this a spotlight. So I'm going to spot over here. So if you don't want it to, you can see if you don't want it to affect something, it's just like a real light, just move it to where you want. So I'm going to start a little bit off the A, just barely affect it, and that's great. So if you actually want to see what's happening here, you can click down in the timeline, go to timeline, and we want to view lights. So there our lights appear, and we can go to this button right here, and this will show the wave. It will show all the keyframes basically, and we can collapse that the same way. So once we have this, we know that this is the layer that's selected because it becomes purple, and if we select the other light, then it will be selected. We can select those right here in these tracks. So we're going to stick with this light here, and we want this to be our starting position right here. So now that we have our starting position, we need to set our ending position. So to do that, we need to turn on the animate mode. So click on the animate mode, and let's take our timeline indicator and move it down, and then we can make an adjustment. So at this point, if we scrub this back, we can see that the animation's working, but there's no wave here. And that's because this controls everything having to do with what we can see. So our light is actually controlled by this transform function. So if we turn that on, then we see these lines appear that are going to show us where the light is affected. So if we move this light, we can see it move down there, and that value changes. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to go back and uncheck this because I don't need to see that right now. What I want to see is these values of it actually moving. So let's go and look at the light. So here we are. we basically set our keyframe right here, and if we move that, then we can adjust it. So we want it to just go past that right there. Great. So that's it. So let's go back and take a look. We can go into the light itself and change the spot size. So we can do it either way. We can do it from this panel here, or we can do it from our timeline. So this is pretty cool because we can even go in and change the color of our light and have it have a totally different effect. Make this more of a white light. So you can see that you can have a different workflow based upon how you want to do things. You can work down here in the timeline with your keyframes directly, or you can go and work with these light properties and these panels up here. So anyway, you can see that you have some different options of how you can change your lights, and you can look at all the different properties of anything. This relates to anything that you're doing within the Marquee tool. So enjoy this and have fun and experiment and do some cool stuff.